Anyone else? This next, also from Chris Rufo, describes the GSA network. GSA Network, it's an organization that basically is like an umbrella organization for about 4,000 other smaller groups. And they're in 40 states, and they have a stated objective, which is to support people with gender identity issues, gender dysphoria. And as the second paragraph says, it's not subtle about its political objectives. It has a manifesto which calls for abolition of the police, abolition of borders and ICE, payment of reparations to minorities, the decolonization of native lands. It is anti-capitalism, and so part of their curriculum, this article by Rufo describes kindergarten through junior high organizations, targets by organizations to encourage them to explore alternative genders, to do it sometimes without informing their parents, sometimes in secret from their parents. And they have people in certain school areas that are advocating not telling parents when this is going on. All this activity, the group believes, is best kept secret from the parents. I put this in here, 1,000 parents of trans-identifying children beg doctors to listen. So the problem here is after children have had irreversible hormonal and or surgical gender change operations, are they better? Are they healthier? Are they happier? And essentially, what I think is, you don't need to be an expert for this, but I think it's like Scott was saying, it's common sense. The problem here, if you look at it, the problem is one of diagnosis. This is a self-diagnosis. Some youth says, and perhaps influenced by others with malicious intent, maybe not, but they feel something wrong and happen upon a diagnosis. And the best analogy I've heard from this is, in anorexia nervosa, patients, usually young women, perceive themselves as being overweight, too fat, even though they may be dangerously thin. And I heard this in the last week or so. Someone said, do we as physicians perform liposuction on an anorexia patient who is thoroughly convinced in her own mind that she is too fat? And the reason we don't do that is because we rely on facts, we rely on data. And we have very good evidence to show that if we were to do that, it could harm her or kill her. What I would call for is people, whether you're experts or not, look into this and insist that you get answers to questions like that from people that you know that are advocating transitioning and hormones. Call your school board and ask, what's the policy of my school board? Should the parents be informed of a 12th grader, 9th grader, 3rd grader, if that child is embarking on this journey without their knowledge? So I think what I got here, this is where it gets kind of interesting. This has been going on for, I think, growing for a good 10, 20 years. And I think a lot of people don't know how mainstream this has become, especially in certain academic centers. And these surgical centers are very active in promoting this agenda to hormonally and surgically change genders of these people. Just in the last week or two, this article is about the Oklahoma Assembly. They actually passed a bill and they defunded the Oklahoma Children's Hospital Gender Medicine Services Department. So this is the power of people saying, well, we want to be involved in this. These are our tax dollars, And we want a better understanding, and we want more transparency. We want to know what's going on with our young people. Well, yeah, please do. That's fine.
So this is an incredibly I'm not an expert, by the way. Is it on? Yeah. Incredibly complex topic. We have good friends who have a son going through this, so it's somewhat personal. And it's very tough on parents and grandparents and family. I don't have an answer, but I have a question that I want everybody to go home and think about. When did the schools take this over?
Mike.
When did the schools take this over? My goodness, these kids need psychiatric evaluations. They need to make sure they don't have hormonal abnormalities. They need a full medical workup. And I don't know when this was taken over by people who want to keep it in secret and put it into the schools and keep it from parents. And I think to Dr. Koster's point, call the school board, ask about this, because this is very complex. And I don't think non-medical people should be handling this, and especially at those ages. Just a thought. I don't know if that's right. Here, you want to try this one? It's not,
I think that's a good segue, Dan. If you don't mind, can I give my words on this topic to my sister?
Oh, sure.
Alicia, would you come up? This is my sister and one of my truly best friends. And so I just wanted to take a minute to give her the floor on this topic.
So I would consider myself an expert on this. I lost a job recently because a 20-year-old kid had an argument with me. He was a bartender. I was the general manager of a restaurant, and he insinuated that I was a they, and forcefully. And the owner of the restaurant said that I needed to own that and take that and say that I was a they. I was angry. I was really mad. Science. You have a male, you have a female. It's body parts, right? Is there masculine and feminine energies? I say some days I cry like a baby, some days I'll take out the trash. Like, I feel different on different days. I'm 41 years old, and I'm still not mature enough to make this decision. What's happening is the same agenda. It's divide and conquer. That's it. That's all they're doing to us. They're doing it with COVID, they're doing it with race, and now they're doing it with homosexuals.
Thank you. I think that's a pretty decent segue to where I want to go next. And that gets to what I said earlier, can we trust authority? Is it the place of people in authority to demand trust, require trust, and coerce it from us? Does it make sense for someone who's a scientist to say, I am the science? Does that ever work? Or is it instead their responsibility to get up every day and try to figure out a way to be worthy of our trust and earn our trust? This is the DHS, Department of Homeland Security. They did a national terrorism advisory bulletin, and they described the summary of the main threat. One of the main threats was mis, dis, and malinformation. The primary terrorism-related threat, continues to stem from lone offenders of small cells motivated by a range of foreign and domestic grievances, the convergence of violent extreme ideologies, false or misleading narratives, and conspiracy theories have and will continue to contribute to a heightened level of threat. So now we should be afraid, we should worry, that we're creating a threat, identifying the threatening characters. And number one is the proliferation of false or misleading narratives, sowing discord, undermining the public trust in U.S. government institutions. We're the threat, we're the bad guys, because we're asking questions that threatens their trust. California recently This is an older article. California doctors warn that there's a COVID-19 censorship bill that they were going to pass. The idea that they're going to come after physicians that spread misinformation without defining what misinformation is frightening. I like this one. Science is not about consensus. It's not about agreement. It's about sharing and debating ideas. That sharing and debating ideas has not been allowed during the COVID crisis. This is another longer article about that when they were debating the law. I like this line. Major news outlets have reported that healthcare professionals are among the most dangerous propagators of inaccurate information. These are major news outlets saying that the doctors are major propagators of information. And of course, the law passed. And then, I'm going to skip that one. Oh, I didn't, also, the law passed, and then now there's a suit. It was just this past week. They're suing to get that law. They're contesting that law. Comments from anyone on that?
I'm damn proud. Damn proud to be a propagator of misinformation.
And this is another little angle that we see happening. The Surgeon General called on big tech to turn over COVID-19 misinformation data. The government, the Surgeon General, wants social media companies to give them information. At one point it says at the top paragraph, a request for information from the Surgeon General office demanded. I thought that was interesting, that tech platforms send data. Again, demanded. And then here, check out the spin. Technology companies now have the opportunity to be open, turning things over to the government. It's all about dangerous health misinformation, which is an urgent threat to public health. And you know that there was this, the DHS had this government, misinformation governance board. Did you guys hear about that? And then here's Majorca saying that they're going to shut that down. You know why that was shut down? People started talking about it, right? Holding people accountable. Speaking of that, the First Amendment wins. This is a U.S. Court of Appeals case, September 16th. Federal appellate court blew up the absurd argument that the world's largest carriers of speech and journalism can censor views they don't like. And they figure this is going to the Supreme Court. Please.
On censorship, the flyer for the event tonight that I shared all over the internet was taglined with, click here for COVID information. And then even today, when I sent it out, it was blurred out and said content not available.
Yeah.
So I know you had mentioned everyone talking to, talk to Charlie if you're not a member of Physicians for Freedom yet. Also, the website is physiciansforfreedom.org,
yes.
Right? You can become a member on the website. So please, please, please do that.
And finally, as of 2 days ago, the American Medical Association pushes the Department of Justice to investigate and prosecute those who call out gender surgeries online. So we see a sequence here of the Oklahoma legislature taking action to defund areas of the Children's Hospital and their gender operations there. And they're not going to go away quietly. So the AMA is out looking for, I guess, people like me, wanting to create discussion, get more transparency. Prosecute all organizations, individuals, and entities. All right. Anyone want to oh, this is just my little, that's kind of what it looks like. I don't know. A lot of heat, no light. So what can you do? Communicate. Talk to people. Welcome. Seek their alternative opinions. Network with people. Find allies. Find people with alternative views. Communicate, because I think we're going to need, like I said, strength in numbers. It's very important. So hold each other accountable. It all boils down to that. Hold each other accountable. Hold the media accountable. Hold yourself accountable. And our elected officials. And then act and join. Like maybe even join Physicians for Freedom. I think that's the end of, unless anybody else has something to add, that's the end of our prepared section. And I'm not going to give you a break, because look what you did with the last one. So we're going to go straight to questions and answers if we have any. Joe?
I do. I have a stack of them right here. Some have names, some don't. So